Shriners Hospitals for Crippled Children. The right to free pediatric health care and Shriners' responsibility to provide it. In 1920, the ancient and Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, more commonly known as Shriners, held their annual meeting, where they agreed to the proposition of Freeland Kendrick, the imperial potentate of the AAONMS, to take on the responsibility of providing free health care for children in response to the polio epidemic. In 1922, Shriners Hospitals for Children opened its doors and established the right to quality health care for sick children. For the next century, Shriners Children's Hospital delivered free health care to those who need it most. Shriners has helped over 1.5 million children by assuming the responsibility to provide pediatric orthopedic care to any child, regardless of their family's ability to pay. In the 1800s, healthcare was limited and only moderately effective. For those who could not afford it, it was non-existent. During this time, methods of disposing of filth and waste were just beginning to be developed. It was difficult to keep dirt, germs, and viruses off your hands and out of your food. With germs running rampant, epidemic viruses and diseases were very common. However, while viruses were everywhere, treatments for them were not as frequent. Child mortality was off the charts, with 43% of kids not surviving past their 5th birthday. Many families wouldn't even name their children until their 1st birthday, so they wouldn't get attached. An excerpt from The Spirit of Democracy said, "Oh, girls, set your affections on cats, poodles, parrots, or lapdogs, but let matrimony alone. Think of carrying 8 or 9 children through the measles, chickenpox, rash, mumps, and scarlet fever, some of them twice over. It makes my sides ache to think of it." Even though the occurrences of many illnesses and infant mortality started to decrease with cleaner cities, by the late 19th century, poliomyelitis cases were increasing. Commonly known as infantile paralysis, poliomyelitis is an awful disease that impacts mostly children, paralyzes them, and can be deadly. In June 1916, the first polio epidemic was declared in the Brooklyn borough of New York City. The authorities responded quickly to the outbreak, quarantining the families of any child who was identified as having the disease by nailing a place card to their door. The authorities believed animals might be spreading polio, so they started to slaughter hundreds of them every week. By the end of July, 72,000 cats and 8,000 dogs had been killed, and Brooklyn was only the beginning. Citizens around the globe feared going out to crowded places like parades, swimming pools, and baseball games. The risk of contracting polio created a state of fear felt throughout the world. At the same time, the Shriners, a fraternal organization founded in 1872, were looking for a charity to sponsor. The Shriners already offered many activities to children, including arts and crafts and fundraisers like the Shrine Circus, which started in 1906 and was held around the nation. In 1920, the Shriners, seeing a desperate need, decided to start a non-profit children's hospital to combat the polio outbreak. At first, conservative members of the Shrine were hesitant to support this idea since it would mandate $2 per year, approximately $32 today, donated from each Shriner. However, Noble Forrest Adair of Yarup Temple in Atlanta, Georgia, said, "While we have spent money for songs and spent money for bands, it's time for the Shrine to spend money for humanity." This comment changed the tone of the meeting entirely, and the vote to assume responsibility to fund medical care for children stricken with polio passed unanimously. Little did they know they would grow to be a world-renowned string of hospitals, saving lives every day. In 1923, Shreveport, Louisiana, the first Shriners Hospitals for Crippled Children, opened their doors. Shriners was an example of rights and responsibilities in history because it protected the rights to quality doctors and nurses who care for young people, and it was one of the first ever hospitals that took on the responsibility to provide health care to patients who could not afford it. The first patient in Shriners was admitted on September 16, 1922. A little girl named Eileen who had clubfoot. a birth defect in which the foot is twisted out of position, was treated in a remodeled home adjacent to the Masonic Lodge while construction on the first hospital was being finished. Eileen lived a very happy and fulfilling life after her treatment, and she was always proud to be the first ever Shriners patient. Shriners gave pediatric orthopedic care to children who were physically disabled, even though most people thought of handicapped people, like this little boy quoted by Florence J. Potts. Do you suppose God made him straight and something happened? This is an example of what Maud Parson, RN, in the American Journal of Nursing meant when they said, "Probably no other physically or mentally handicapped group has been more subjected to brutal treatment or more cruel neglect in the past than those suffering from physical disabilities." This documentation, as well as other evidence, shows what people thought about disabled people, and how Shriners held different perspectives, focusing on helping them manage medical handicaps. Shriners Hospitals for Children have played a vital role in transforming healthcare for young patients by providing treatment despite socioeconomic status. The hospitals supplied free treatment to children under the age of 14 and were supported by a yearly $2 assessment from each Shriner. Although it was later changed to under 18 with taxes to insurance, they continued to help kids without thought of prices. U.S. healthcare spending grew 7.5% in 2023, reaching $4.9 trillion, or $14,570 per person. For families that have children with complex medical needs, the financial assistance Shriners provides can save lives. Many medical conditions are covered by Shriners, including orthopedic care, burn treatment, cleft lip and palate care, and spinal cord injury rehabilitation. The work done by Shriners has created an effect that will last for generations, since they not only supplied treatment but also cared for the children, bringing them joy even if they were stuck in an iron lung. Shriners provided supplies for activities, special events, and gifts, making sure every child was being tended to. They also made a massive impact on orthopedic care, providing new techniques and treatments. In fact, their sponsored intramural research program has a budget of $22 million annually. With these new programs and information, the average hospital stay at Shriners went from 1 to 2 years in 1930 to 2.5 days in 2015. Through their commitment to providing world-class medical care, Shriners hospitals have significantly improved the lives of countless children suffering from polio and other afflictions. Nowadays, Shriners Hospitals for Children have 22 hospitals across the United States, Mexico, and Canada, and they are continuing to fulfill their goal of helping as many children and their families as they can.
Because of the nerve transfer surgery that she received, she's basically able to move her arm, and otherwise she wouldn't have been able to.
There are different medical issues now that polio has been eradicated in the Western Pacific region. Shriners treat a range of these illnesses, having cared for 141,000 plus children in 2021 alone. Shriners doctor illnesses including scoliosis, craniofacial conditions, and acute flaccid myelitis, or AFM. AFM is a rare polio-like neurological condition that is clinically identical to poliomyelitis and was first described as a distinct entity in 2014. The condition devastates young children and is an echo of times past. Like poliomyelitis, AFM is caused by enteroviruses that target a part of the spinal cord called gray matter, leaving muscles paralyzed. Shriners hospitals have been on the forefront of giving medical treatment to children with AFM, although there is not a specific cure for the disease.
Have a disease which is really poorly understood and is so frightening. That's devastating for families.
My family has experienced receiving care from Shriners hospitals in Philadelphia after my brother was diagnosed with AFM in 2018. His illness was devastating for my family, and the thought of my little brother with his right arm paralyzed still brings up a lot of emotions in my household. Shriners helped by providing a life-changing surgery, physical and occupational therapy, and all of this for no cost to my family. Shriners has tackled the responsibility of upholding rights for the people with polio and its relatives for more than 100 years, and they continue to do so every day.